Good morning, folks. That was slightly painful. We had a little audio issue with Super Dave. So I had to reboot, Dave had to reboot, but we are now live. So just before we jump into it, we're running, 10 minutes late. So let me just jump into the chat here. So Carrie, hey, all the way from Scotland, good morning. Who else we got in here? Fred, Adam. Adam's always in here. Jeff, Joshua, John, Iceland. Hey, we haven't had a viewer from Iceland. Adam. Hey, Adam, nice to see you again. Peter, sorry you're late. Hey, Peter had to get some booster. I have not boosted yet. We're going to have to get on that. Scotland is in. Where else? Hey, we've got our buddy from Darjeeling is in. Ivan, well, Ivan's in the show. I'm glad he's here. Rick, the Rail Sailor, Craig, Dennis, Root and Ride. For Intercom Matters, Senna is a one-button tech that just works. If you can't figure it, stop bashing it. Well, everyone's experience is different there, Root and Ride, and I will say that as someone who's been in the video business for 30 years, I'm pretty comfortable with technology, and most of the people I ride with are either in the aerospace or IT industries. So if we're having issues, it's not because we didn't read the manual. All right, let's get into this. So let's introduce our guests today. Who have we got? We've got Super Dave. Dave, let's check your audio.
Hopefully this is working.
It is working, Dave. I will make you a little bit louder. Ivan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Excellent.
Good morning.
And Jason.
Present.
Present. All right. So, we were thinking of doing this last week, and it didn't happen because Dave has a life outside of the Awesome Players, which seems hard to believe. But one of the things that we've been doing as a club for a long time is using intercoms, and I was surprised, I think, when I watched a video how many years we've actually been using intercoms. And it really has been a major boost to our riding, I don't know, experience, I guess you could call it. And, oh, Dave's boosting, I think. Dave, what do you got?
Might have said, but you said boost, so
yeah.
I assumed
All
that
right.
was the instruction.
Oh, Ivan's going for the boost. I think Jason's already boosted. No.
I think I overdid it.
You overdid it? I haven't boosted at all, actually. Let's go to camera 2. Let's go to the boost cam. I ran out of rum.
Oh, boy.
Yes, maple syrup goodness. Oh,
It's actually the best in the
Blimey.
coffee.
It's not just for
You got
breakfast
enough in there?
anymore. Ooh, man, the smell. The smell of
Having
pancakes
pancakes.
is just wafting over me here. Yikes.
Yeah, I've
I have to
overdone
brush
it.
my teeth after this one.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, man. Well, that was breakfast, boys.
Yowzers.
Got that toothpaste taste right off the old teeth. So, intercoms, we have hello from Poland. We got a bunch of people chiming in. How many people are watching? We're almost at 100 people. So Dave, in his infinite kindness, had prepared a PowerPoint presentation. So this will be interesting to see if this all works. This is our first PowerPoint here on the Awesome Players COVID broadcast number 6. One of the things that evolved as we were using the intercoms was, without really any planning on our part, is a language developed all of its own. And over the years of using the intercoms, at some point we came up with all of our own terminology for obstacles and stuff, because the way we usually roll is whoever's in front is kind of calling the ball. So if you're the leader and you're zooming along, you're the one saying, watch out for that rock, watch out for that hole, there's a car coming, there's an ATV coming, slow down, loose gravel, sand, whatever. So the guy in front is calling the show. And over a period of 5 or 6 years that we've been using Intercom, this strange vocabulary developed. So let me fire up the PowerPoint here and see if this is going to work. All right, where is it? All right.
And this
so
is
Dave,
all true.
This is all
fiction.
true. So, Dave, we'll all chime in, but this is you're gonna be doing the heavy lifting on this one, and I can't see the chat anymore. So, you guys will have to handle the chat. Is anybody watching on Facebook? If you're watching on Facebook, get the hell off Facebook. Go over to YouTube. Follow, walk towards the light. Go to YouTube. The experience is better. Chat's better. Head over there. Ivan, is YouTube working? Is anybody, or sorry, Facebook working? Is anybody on Facebook? Ivan's going to head over to Facebook.
There are a few. I don't know how many, but every once in a while I try to post to people to invite them to the tube of you.
All right, Dave. We're going to slide number 1.
Okay. Okay. So this is the radio chat that we kind of hear, as I'm not normally in front, but I will hear.
You want me to read it, Dave?
From Riley. Yeah, sure, go for it.
So this would be a typical audio snippet while we're rolling down the trail. We got a sharp Dave in the middle, followed by a field of JPs. A Jason on the right with a Mark. Top of the hill, there's a decent Riley, then a double Ivan, and a crazy Ivan. And then, of course, this must be Dave speaking, because I never say the word blimey.
Yeah. Blimey, chaps, that was a bit of a crisp. We need some advice from Sonny and Mark's arse. And end up in a Henrik. And but poor old Henrik, we'll leave him off of this for the moment. We're going to knock Senna instead.
So that's the typical conversation we would have, and
it works very well. It works very well
work.
Because everybody understands exactly what those terms mean.
Yep.
And it's a very, very fast way of saying what's on the trail ahead.
And
so
now
we're
a
going to
message
describe
from
what
our
those
lawyer.
terms actually are.
Here's a message from our legal department. Any reference to people, companies, small animals, or aids to tangos in the night, imaginary or real, is purely coincidental and inferred solely by the audience. In other words, it's our opinion, not fact. It's an entertainment show. Have a laugh. And we actually, Dave, I'll give Dave credit. Dave actually sent this PowerPoint to each one of us so that we could approve our slide. Because Dave knows what sensitive snowflakes we really are. Because I edit all the crying. Out of the videos. So you guys don't see that at home because I cut that out. I think there's only been crying in one video when I hurt my thumb, but other than that, we're pretty much tear free. So Dave, take it away. The first term, the Riley.
The Riley. This is especially effective when one has absolutely no care or consideration of people's personal feelings in any way. So, the Riley rock. What is a Riley rock? Well, a Riley rock, it's a massive slab of rock that is not moving. As you can see, Riley up there in the top left-hand side, that is a Riley. It doesn't move. If you hit a Riley very hard, the downside is you end up having to walk home because we're normally in Riley's pickup truck with his trailer. But you do get extra points if you manage to find some dinosaur tracks in your Riley rock. Pros and cons to a Riley: it can either be fantastic grip and you finally need it, or it can be very slippery when wet.
Yep, and I'll add that one of the things we figured out over the years is that when you are riding on the trail and you see one of those big slabs of rock, it's great. It's the one spot where it's like driving on pavement. So that is the Riley, and Dave, where the hell did you
Riley
get that
had to
photo?
go.
That is a very flattering photo of me, Dave. I got a bag over my head.
I think you'd farted, and it was in the bar. It was at the bar in Hawkesbury after a ride.
That looks like my Tinder profile photo. That's odd. What were you doing on Tinder, Dave, or was that Grindr? I always get the two mixed up.
What was your safety word for that day, Riley? I can't remember.
Ocelot. My safe word is ocelot. All right, let's move on. The Dave. Now, the Dave, you know what?
Riley,
Before you jump in, Dave, I think the Dave was actually the very first term we ever coined.
It was the first one, yeah, the Dave Rock. When I first started riding off-road, the Dave Rock, I had a bit of a fixation issue of seeing an obstacle in the path and I would hit it at full speed and, with absolute more weight over the front bars than was really needed to be. So what is it? It's a rock buried in the ground. It's not moving. I will try very hard with my, svelte 185 pounds and a 500 pound bike to move it. It will not move. It has caused various amounts of damage, including 2 front wheels, including a Woody's front wheel, which I have still managed to bend by hitting a Dave Rock. Multiple flats. We've all hit Dave Rocks in the past. And I have, in fact, ruined my testicles from hitting one before as well. The bike just stops and I went straight over the handlebars. It was a big Dave Rock. But that's what a Dave Rock is. It will not move. It will be there. It's not good for grip like Riley's. It's just a sheer tyre bender.
Dave, you said you smashed your testicles. Why was your wife's purse on the ride? I'm not understanding.
She's on speakerphone and she's upstairs.
Oh, she's okay. The one thing I'll say about the Dave Rock is, like Dave says, it wasn't, in the early days especially, wasn't in the front too much. So, but I can remember numerous occasions, especially when we were doing like the Fundy Adventure Rally, bombing along in front, and I would say, Dave, watch out. There's a big rock in the middle of the trail. And then over the intercom, I would hear, shoo-bang! And Dave would go, yeah, got it.
Yeah. That's normally the post audio is bang. There was a Dave Rock.
Yep, so that's how the Dave Rock evolved. All right, what's next?
Usually a Dave Rock is totally avoidable.
Oh, yes.
It's just
it's completely avoidable.
Moving 6 inches over, but
yep.
You fixate on it and then you just go right into it.
And we have different
it will only
modifications
take
of the
up
Dave
about
Rock.
3 inches of the entire path, and I will hit it.
Yeah, you'll say there's like a big Dave, a little Dave. You can even have a sharp Dave. So yeah, there you can add a little descriptor to it. All right, let's move on. The JP.
JPs, otherwise known as the grenade. The JP rock, it's a loose and baggy rock. It's out the ground. It's remarkably easy to hit. As you look at JP there on the top left, you could easily hit him quite easily. But when you do hit it, it will disappear from the trail entirely, so that there's no evidence of having hit this rock that's taken you off and collapsed the bike. Like Chris's poor old HP2 there. There's normally no evidence of it, and you will find it around the next corner, smoking a watermelon.
Yep.
Or whatever it is that he does to watermelons.
When JP was vaping, and
when JP was vaping.
We've seen JPs being born right on the trail. If somebody hits a Super Dave
normally
hard
they were Dave Rocks.
Sometimes the Super Dave, the Dave will turn into a JP. All right, is JP in the chat, boys? Now that we're maligning him, I hope he's watching. I'd hate to.
You can have a field of JPs. They don't have to be individual. They could be a field of JPs.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Sometimes you'll say, watch out, there's a JP on the left, the right, the center. And sometimes you just say, it's a JP fest, which means you're screwed. All right. What's next? Oh,
Chris.
Yes. The Chris Rock.
The Chris Rock. Chris Rock is Chris Rock, comedian, who once had a shit show, apparently. Nobody really knows. But he's a comedian. It's a shit show. That was a bit of a Chris, is how we tend to use it. When it's all gone really wrong and it's a total lack of skill and judgment. As you can see by the sausages and the croissant, the Hindenburg disaster, Chris's bike upside down, the floating Ural. There's a few images there of an example of a complete and utter shit show. And that would be a Chris Rock. It's not really a rock, but why not? It fits.
And we, I think at one point, our initial definition of what a Chris Rock was going to be was just not politically correct. So we had to come up with a new definition. All right. Hey,
it was made up at the last moment. Jason,
this is your moment to shine, Jason.
Strangely, Jason, you don't look any different today than you did a year ago when that picture was taken. You know,
I was born.
it's what is it? What is a Jason? Well, it first of all came out. It's a shallow or a very deep ditch off to the side of the road, or a culvert, whatever you want to call it. Why do we call it a Jason? Because it's not quite as shallow as it seems. You know, there is some depth to him, and if you really upset it's going to cause a lot of significant damage for you. I fell into one, but I saved the bike once. That was good. Riley has gone into a couple and bounced straight back out again, so he was a very lucky bastard. JP has gone into one backwards. We buried the body. He is no more. Rest in peace. And Ivan hits one regularly every year. At least Ivan does go into a Jason at least once a year, and it causes his bike to be rebuilt. You know, every single year without fail. So there we go. Perfect Jasons. Deep ditches off to the side of the road, not as shallow as they appear.
Initially, a Jason was going to be when you were riding down the trail and you saw a severed ponytail, but it just never came up. So we had to go with the ditch. And Ivan, man, Ivan got the best one because Ivan got all these different descriptions. There's a whole sub-library of Ivans.
There is, yes, the crazy Ivans. Ivans, they're all bastards. Utter bastards, Ivans. We can't stand them, to be honest. They're route crossings, tree routes going across the trail, either at angles or shitty angles. A standard Ivan is just a route going across the trail. And these are fine when they're dry. Nobody has a problem with them. It's when they're... a moist Ivan is a terrible thing to be riding on, to be honest.
That's a direct quote from his wife.
That is a direct quote from his wife. Yeah, nobody likes a moist Ivan. Crazy Ivan, tree route going across a shitty angle, which just takes your back wheel out from you, or a flying Ivan, which is a route with daylight underneath. But there's a fine line between a flying Ivan and a Mark, and we'll come on to what a Mark is in a little while. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Is Mark in the chat? I didn't see him.
My first biggest crash was because of my first biggest crash started off with I was with Jason, so it started off with a moist, crazy Ivan that shot me off into a Jason.
Nice.
And Jason, when he found me at the Orange Crush, first thing he did, instead of helping me, because I was pinned on the bike, was laugh at me and then take a picture. He said, "Don't move. I got to take a picture if you're not dead."
Right.
That's what he did.
He was following the awesome player's protocol, which is the person crashed, you check, are they dead? If not, then it's laughter followed by photography. That's our protocol. So
most of our pictures are like that.
Jace?
When that happened, when Ivan flew off into the shrub, I was actually in front. No, Ivan was in front, and I was following him. And at one point, I hear, klaxon, somebody's horn. So I look back, and I see the rest of the group had stopped, and I see Ivan's helmet on the ground. Like, but he's in front. What happened? So I turned. That's when I turned back, and I saw he was. He was down a ditch. His bike flipped over. He was right next to the bike. And a tiny little branch at an oblique angle on the trail.
They can be sneaky. And now this is one of our newer additions to the dictionary. The Mark with a C. The Mark with a C. I was corrected by a Mark with a K, and he frightened me enough that I did actually correct his name. So Mark, otherwise known as Ruben amongst the gang, because he does look and sound a little bit like Ruben from the Ocean's 11 movies. We love him dearly. But what is a Mark? It's a whip-like branch that smacks you in the face. Normally leaves a mark that's very hard to explain to the missus or to your significant other as to how you ended up with all these whip marks. As you can see, there's a nice picture of Chris in a whole bunch of marks. After he tried to do a wheelie, and it didn't really work for Chris. But you do get a lot of marks every now and then, and they're not really technically Ivans, because these are ones that get you right in the helmet. Yeah, smacked. You can hear them on the intercom too when someone up front gets smacked in the helmet, and Chris. Like here, you see this is a shot of Chris who's been whipped, It's not like most of the shots with Chris where he's getting whipped because he doesn't have a red rubber ball in his mouth. But you get the idea.
Oh dear.
All
Anyway,
right.
Yeah. Okay.
What is next? Now, some of you guys won't know who Sonny and Mark are, but Sonny and Mark are two fellows we ride with every time we go up to the Fundy Adventure Rally, and they're very good riders, much better riders certainly than I. And over the years of going up to the Fundy Adventure Rally, they've been nice enough to kind of take us under their wing, so we get to the rally grounds early, and for a couple of days before the event, they will guide us around because they know that area super well. So we've had a lot of really good riding with Sonny and Mark, and we've also had a lot of good socializing with Sonny and Mark. And every time they come to the Fundy, we rent a cabin, but they always bring the arse.
The arse. Mark and Sonny's arse. ARS stands for the Awesome Riding Shack Engineering Solutions, or Solutions and Engineering. I got that around the wrong way. There's my English for you. It's their pop-up trailer, and you always get solid advice from within Sonny and Mark's pop-up trailer. It's like a magic 8-ball, really. If you turn it upside down, you always find the answer that you want. And if you've had a particularly hard day of riding, or something's not going quite right, if you just take a walk past the trailer, you can always get some really, really solid advice from. You can hear it coming from inside the trailer, and it's always very applicable when it works. Such as the examples we've managed to poll around the lads is grip harder with the knees. We found that always helps. We've got a puncture. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but we do get it. Bend those elbows, and yes, that's helped. That's been solid advice.
Yep.
Look at the state of that fluid. That's been something that's been a bit worrying, but we spent all day fixing Jason's bike on that one. And there's no such thing as too much SC1 on your helmet. And that's, again, very true. It just stops some of the mud from sticking. And so they do seem to solve a lot of the problems that we have at hand.
Yes, and Dave, you actually cleared this with Sonny and Mark, right? This slide.
I did, yes. Only because Mark really scares me, and I'm thinking he's going to bury me in a field somewhere.
He's a large person.
So I wanted to make sure that it was all okay.
Mark is a large person who owns a backhoe. That is not the guy you want to.
And he knows the backwoods of New Brunswick like nobody else. So.
And then we have
the last one.
No conversation about intercoms would be complete without the Senna. This may offend some, so if you are a member of the Senna family,
the disclaimer was this is our opinion. Yep. And it's not anybody else's, and it's just, what is it? I mean, it's rusty shit that just don't work, right? and that's a real piece of Senna. And anything that hasn't gone right, like the Ukrainian dentist up there, or Riley's barbecues, that sort of thing, it's just a real Senna event. And there's you know what? I'm being really unfair to that larder, because that larder has worked its ass off for 50 years, and it's doing good. Yes. The larder probably shouldn't be there, but the Oral certainly should.
Hey,
so that's what it is, a rusty old nail.
It's, and I know from doing a little research that people have had their share of problems with Cardo, whatever, and I know there's a lot of people that have great success. And when I ride around the neighborhood with my kids, and they're sitting in the sidecar, or I'm riding with a buddy who's 10 feet away, we can go an entire day and the Sennas work fantastic. Our issues with the Sennas are when you start trying to use all these features where you have 4 or 5 plus riders, because I think you're supposed to be able to have 8. Even once you get past 3, we've just found so much clicking and problems and issues. 2 people glued to each other, it works fantastic. So Senna is just, kind of promised a lot of things over the years they haven't delivered. I know they just came out with a firmware upgrade a couple of days ago, and so far a lot of the reviews about that firmware upgrade have been really good. I'm just reading some yesterday, so it'll be interesting with their new Mesh 2.0. But we tried the Mesh, and the original Mesh when we bought the 30s. Ivan and I remember, man, that was a letdown.
It was you and I on the highway within. You and I on the highway within 200 meters couldn't hear each other.
Yeah,
it was not good. And I'll echo your point now. I had three Sennas. one on my helmet and one on each of the kids. And when it's just us riding around, it's fine. For 2 people, it's just fine.
Yep.
But as you said, when you get 3 or 4, and then the leader starts to go to the back, and the back guy tends to go to the front, it all falls out of order, and it's, it should be a lot simpler than it is. And I would happily give up 80% of those extra features that Cena offer just to make the damn thing work as they advertised it to. I don't need all the other stuff.
Yeah, there's a, it's...
When we went to the Fundy rally, was it last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
We were 3 on the center group, and we were resetting, restarting the device, every 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah. And especially if someone got out of range and came back into range, you got issues, and I found it super irritating when someone would drive out of range and all of a sudden you get that intercom failed, like all this crap, which was all supposed to be solved by the magic of mesh. And I do see that the Cardo guys are not having a perfect existence, but I have a few friends who have them, and they do say that the mesh implementation on the Cardo works better. Hopefully this mesh 2.0 will be better. I know there's guys who have talked about using like a walkie-talkie style system. The problem with that is it would be great if you were going to use the radio once or twice a day when someone's up ahead and you're out of sight. But for the style of thing we like to use them for, which is a non-stop stream, or if you're driving somewhere and you want to chat, you want that full duplex. You don't want to be sitting there going, "Hey Dave, what'd you do last night?" "Over." "I had a sound," So that would be kind of a bummer. We are working on a system. Ivan and JP are looking into something where you can add walkie-talkie to the Senna as a Bluetooth device, and JP and I did some tests a few years ago with that, so that you could use the Senna as you use it now, as close range, and if someone was far away, you could actually hit a push-to-talk button on a walkie-talkie with a Bluetooth adapter, and that would come into the Senna. And JP and I did some tests with that, and he's more of an electrical wizard than I am. He soldered up some stuff, and it worked. We just weren't getting the right range out of the walkie-talkies we bought, so we are looking back at that. Oh yeah, the one thing I wanted to talk about, which I mentioned it to Dave, and I forgot to get back on that, Dave, was Mark of the Whipped in the Face fame, Mark.
Ruben.
This is Mark's uncle, Joe Bolger, and there he is racing a Bultaco. And unbeknownst to all of us, Mark's uncle, who passed away last week, was 90 plus years old, is actually in the Canadian Motorcycle Hall of Fame as well as the American Motorcycle Hall of Fame. So this was the fellow that really got Mark into motorcycles. And the other interesting little tidbit is that hey, there's a nice empty shot.
He didn't climb it, he didn't go up there on his bike, did he?
Tidbit is that I was mentioning to Mark that at some point we're going to have to come up with a theme for a show. We've done tools, we've done riding gear. Today we're going to talk a bit about luggage and stuff. I said, we haven't talked about bikes. And Mark said, I've got a list of every bike I've owned. And I'll tell you what, this will be our first live contest. If you answer in the chat, if you can guess how many bikes Mark has owned, I will send you something. I'll dredge up something, either an Awesome Players shirt, coffee cup, some patches. I think Jason's got some used engine oil. Ivan's got a burned out sprocket, whatever. We will put together a fabulous gift pack. If you can guess.
Ivan's got a bunch of burned out tires.
Yes, you can have a free tire from Ivan's.
Those are all Chris's brand new tires.
Yes, those are Chris original.
Give one away.
Oh, we got 11 bikes, 16 bikes, 17, 15, 23. I will say, I don't know how to pronounce this. Sugadur 47. 47 is the closest number so far. No, 28 is, you're getting colder. Oh, Adam, 50, getting closer. Durga, 69, getting closer. And he just wanted to post 69. Come on, that was a cheap shot. 79, getting closer. 24. No, way too low. 31, too low. 69 again. Carrie, keep it out of the gutter. 57. No, higher, boys. Higher. Higher. So far, the highest number is about 70, and that was too low. 75. Getting closer. Higher. Higher. And of course, I'm seeing the 99. Getting closer, but higher. 130. Too high. 100. Higher.
This is like a bad night at the bingo, isn't it?
Yeah, somebody said, seriously? 115, very close, but a little too high. 108, higher. 147, too high. 101, I missed a few here. Okay, they're coming. 101, higher. 121, lower. 103, higher. 111, slightly lower.
110, 109.
Who said 110? 110, yes. Okay, 110. Okay, everyone stop chatting so I can find who the winner is. Who said 110 first? 110, 110, 110, 110, 110, 110. Oh, man. Okay, Adam, hold on. This is riveting content, folks. This is what you got up early or stayed up late for on a Sunday. Okay, I'm looking for the first
Adam
110.
Barrett.
Okay, Adam Barrett, 110, unless I'm incorrect. So Adam, because it's difficult to contact you through YouTube, Adam, send an email to info@apormc.com. info@apormc.com, and say, I am the big winner. And we will send out a prize pack for you. All right, let's talk about...
All right, okay, hang on. How many bikes have you had, Riley?
How many bikes have I had? I probably had 10 or something, 10 or 12, 10 or 11, I don't know, not that many. Jace, do you know offhand?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I've had about 11 or 12. I got 5 right now sitting. I got 2 in the shed, 2 old Hondas in the shed, so I've got 5. Dave? 3. Dave.
Just 3.
Ivan?
Including bicycles?
No.
No.
Registered in my name? Bikes?
Yeah, see? Mr. Monogamy. He's...
being a cheap bastard, I always said riding other people's bikes is a lot cheaper. And that's what I did for quite a while. Every once in a while, I'd go ride somebody else's motorbike.
Talking of which, where's Chris's bike? Have you sold it? Scrapped it out?
Yeah, where's Chris's bike? All right. So...
America is being mean to Mark.
I don't know how you go through 110 bikes. I think that's going to be an interesting episode when we get Mark out here. I know he's bought a ton of small bikes. He has he likes those little Honda 100s and stuff up at the cottage. So he's got a type, a lot of bikes. Yeah, Nerb 1, 100 bikes. That's a disease, not an obsession. Yes, well, it's one of the many things Mark has been treated for over the years. And the funny thing is, Mark has all these little kids' bikes, but he has no kids. So he's probably on a watch list somewhere.
He's got an ankle bracelet.
Yes. Yes. I notice every time we go on a ride, we have to detour around the elementary school. I don't know why. Mark is always like, hang a left here, hang another left. Is that 100 meters? He's always asking these strange questions. But anyway.
The comms always seem to work for Mark.
Yes. Yeah, Mark. Anyways. So, let's move on. Let's pull ourselves up out of the gutter. Get out of that little Jason on the side of the trail. And see if we can carry on here. So we had mentioned today that we were going to talk a bit about baggage. And I will start by saying that there's two schools of thought in general for where you're going to carry a lot of your stuff. And you've got the people who want to carry it on their body, who want to carry their toolkit and all kinds of stuff on their body, either in a fanny pack or a backpack or some combination of that. And then you've got the people who like to strap it on the bike. And I'm a big fan of putting the stuff on the bike, A, because I don't want to carry the weight on my body, and B, just because I don't want to tumble into the rhubarb with my tire irons and screwdrivers and everything necessarily in my backpack. Although I do wear a backpack that I use to carry my water and my food and some spare clothing and some other things like that. But in terms of the bags on the bike, I did go and dig up what I had. And I see Jason's getting ready there, but let me pop up some stuff here. So this is the little bag that I use to carry all my tire repair stuff. So that's got the spare tube, it's got the tire irons, the valve fish tool, a bead buddy that helps keep the tire bead down in the trough. All the stuff when we went through and we showed you the tools we carry, all of this stuff fits in here. And this is actually designed to be a fender bag that fits up under the front headlight. It's by this company called Dirt Bike Gear, dirtbikegear.com. No affiliation, I paid full price for this puppy. I use it actually on the back of the 701. It slides in right on the rear fender, and the two grab handles fit right there, and I strap it down and it works great. So I use that puppy. The same company makes this bag, and it's the only one I've really seen. You can see it's got a million straps, and this one actually straps on just above the headlight, and it works really well. A lot of bikes have a number plate or something above the headlight, and I put this there, and I don't want to put a lot of weight up on the handlebar system, but I use this to carry my pump and a few other light things. And you can see with all these straps, you strap it down to the triple clamp, whatever, it does not move. And it's a spot on the bike that a lot of people don't use. So this is by that same company, dirtbikegear.com, and they make nice stuff. It's made, I think, in the USA. So I like that puppy. The other thing I like, especially if you're riding a bike like a 701 that has no space really between the front of the seat and the handlebars. There's no filler cap there because the filler cap is back behind the seat. This is the tiny, you can see how big this is. This is the tiny little Wolfman tank bag, and it's just the right size to shove your phone, some spare batteries for your GoPro, your wallet, and a few other things. And it's tiny, and when you stand up on the pegs, it's not jabbing you in your wedding tackle. So it's this is a nice little thing from Wolfman. Also from Wolfman, because like I said, I don't want to carry all my tools and spare water and whatever. I have their, I think they call these their Enduro saddlebags, and these are really nice. And the way they fit, they are really out of the way. They're a nice size. You don't notice them on the bike at all. The only thing that I find with them is because I do not have racks, they tend to be, no matter how tight you pull these bottom straps, they tend to flap around a bit. So what I've done is I've added a rock strap, and rock strap are these bungee straps, and I use that, and it just let me switch cams here. The rock straps just squeeze them down against the bike, and they are really nice. I actually run one of the straps under the seat, which is nice, and the other strap goes under the grab handles. And since we're talking about rock straps, these babies, if you do not know what rock straps are, you're living in the dark ages, because the bungee cord, man, that is just a disaster waiting to happen. I've been on at least 2 or 3 rides over the years where someone had crap bungeed to the back of the bike that either got lost or fell into the rear wheel or some other thing. And the Rock Straps is a traditional strap with a Fastex style buckle. And straps are great, but you'll strap something down, and what you've strapped down, especially if it's a dry bag or something, will eventually compress, especially as the air slowly leaks out of a dry bag. And with the Rock Straps, you have this elastic part, which you strap it down nice and tight, and even if the load shrinks or shifts, that elastic keeps it snug. And this, I've had a couple of sets of these. This is their fatter size. There's a narrower size. These things are amazing. They used to be a bit of a specialty item, but I think I've seen them for sale now at Home Depot. So the Rock Straps, big fun. The other thing that, because we tend to get into moist areas, is dry bags. This is a relatively small dry bag. You can see that's got my tool roll in it. And I like to use these dry bags just to keep all your goodies dry, because it's a bit of a bummer when it all gets wet. And as I mentioned the last time we were talking about tools, this is my multimeter, old inner tube, folded over, and a piece of inner tube cut to be an elastic. That is 100% waterproof. I've totally submerged my saddlebags with things packaged like this, and they do not get wet. And everybody who's been doing off-roading for any amount of time has a stack of old inner tubes kicking around. And the latest innovation, since everybody scared me last time when I realized I didn't carry any toilet paper, you get these little mini Ziplocs. I usually use these to package up spare earplugs, but I packaged up these. That's one of those nice blue shop towels, and these are wipes. So that's, I'd say this is enough wipeage for one session, assuming it was not Taco Tuesday the night before, in which case it might be a three pack might be necessary. And then you'd probably want to follow that up with that, because you want to end on a dry note as opposed to a high note.
Wipeage
is good. And then as a
any
backpack,
word is better when you add "idge" to the end of it.
It better. And Jason just disappeared. What's happening? And I'm using this. This is a Liat backpack that carries my water supply. And what I like about this one is it has a built-in back protector, so you can still wear your regular back protector and get double protection, but it tends to keep the backpack off your back a bit, so you get a little better ventilation. And of course, bug net. So got all the pouches and stuff, so you keep your granola bars and your spare, a windbreaker, some other goodies in there, spare batteries. We'll keep the pouches here, spare batteries for the GoPros and whatever. So that's kind of my take on luggage. Ivan, you want to expound on that a bit, or?
Yeah, sure. Myself, I'd like eventually to buy some rackless panniers like you have and all that, some smaller ones to carry my, because I carry most of my gear, my toolkit and all that in my backpack that has the tools, my camelback thing and clothing and everything and all that. So I carry everything pretty much on myself, except for this little pouch that's on the back of the bike. It's I modified this pouch because normally they screw it into the plastic fender. That's what it's made for. So you understand, rally pack or whatever they call it. It's the smallest one they make. It's shaped to go on a fender, rear fender. And I had it modified with to these buckles so I can take it off easily if I go into a shop somewhere or at work. I don't want to leave it out. It's just too easy to steal. And then this, all I have is spare tube, air pump, wet wipes, spark plug, and some just a few straps, rock straps extra, and that's it. And that tire levers and all that are stuck under my seat. So that's just the basic riding thing. I also used to have the backpack is pretty new. It's been a year now. Before that, I was wearing this. I had my tools in there. It's okay, but there's a newer version that I think like setup that Jason has now. You always have to have a separate camelback, and there's 2 pieces of gear you have to put on and stuff like that. So that's just a simple backpack for me is easier to go with. And so I don't carry a ton of stuff. Lots of stuff small stuff I stash on the bike. It just lives there all the time. And I'll just answer who was asking. I don't know if we're going to get into this now, but into the more long distance travel, somebody was asking me, Sebastian Rainers was asking about the Moscow gear. So you want me to, I can talk about that now or later if we get into that chapter, I don't know.
Yeah, talk about it now.
Okay. So there's 2 ways of thinking when you're traveling more long distance, and Jason also will probably talk about it too, is either you go with the hard boxes or you go with soft luggage. So for me, I think if you're just going to stick more to the road, the highway and all that, not really some off-road, the aluminum boxes are fine, But if you're going to do any type of off-roadish stuff while traveling and you're going to probably drop the bike somewhere, even if it's a small tumble, soft luggage is the way to go. First of all, it won't be dented. It's still going to stay waterproof. You've got a good set, and you're less risk of breaking a leg, being trapped between the bike and the hard box. So anyway, so what I got, I use these, the Moscow backcountries, the 35. This is the very first generation, and they're fantastic because the benefit of soft luggage, but the ease of install with the hard luggage, meaning it just slides on and clips on really easy. This was the same thing. I got them a long time ago because I actually bought them before the company even had a product on the market. I was one of the guys who took the risk of funding them $200, saying, "Yeah, I'll buy your gear when it comes out." So this is the set serial number 5 from Moscow, actually, and very robust, fantastic stuff. Some could say maybe a little bit over-engineered, but they work very well. And just having this system is great, where it just slides onto the bike. This one's actually missing a part of the buckle because it
you crashed
from
with
the
those,
crash.
didn't you?
Yeah, popped off, and that clip broke, so it didn't break anything else. It's a $5 replacement.
Mm-hmm.
I could still put it back on the bike, and it wouldn't bounce off or anything. And the only other damage is a little bit of a scuff mark here, and that's it. Not a hole, nothing.
Nice.
If it would have been an aluminum can when I had my crash, that Touratech aluminum box would have been garbage. That's why the soft luggage in a crash is probably going to survive a lot more than a hard box.
Yeah.
But
and it's not going to jab you in the back of the leg either.
Exactly. People have broken legs because of being, pinned between a foot peg, a rock, and the corner of the hard panniers, and broken legs or ankles because of that. So when I go onto my camping trip or weekends and all that, that's what I carry: the 2 Moscows and tent strapped over the little rack, and that's it.
Yeah. And someone here was mentioning that back in the day, I was a big fan of the Pelican box. I still am a big fan of the Pelican box on a bigger bike. On a big bike, if you're going to have something bolted to the rear rack as kind of like a semi-permanent installation, nothing beats a Pelican box. Those things are indestructible. And actually, there's a company here in Quebec called Nanook that makes those style cases, and I actually prefer them. That's, I think, what, Dave, you're running a Nanook now?
Yeah, it's your old one off of your 800. It went on to my 800, and it's
they're
survived
nice,
so much damage. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and they're lighter, they're slightly thinner, but just as solid. And I think they have the same guarantee. If you somehow manage to run it over with a train or something, they'll just give you a new one. So definitely on a bigger bike. And when I had my KLR many years ago, I had aluminum boxes, and I was basically just using it as a travel bike, so it was fine. But one day, my buddy Joe and I did a little bit of off-roading with those hard boxes, and man, you were putting your foot down and that thing was ramming you in the back of the leg. And when you fall and they get bent, and now the lid doesn't fit anymore, so it isn't waterproof, and all those benefits go away. So no, I would definitely, if it was anything more than kind of a street touring ride, I would stay
when
away
I did
from
my
luggage.
My hat trick ride where I was texting you, Riley, with my broken sprocket thing and stuff like that. I had gone through some off-road trails that were so narrow. My Moscow bags were stained green from all the shrubbage that was rubbing against the side of the bike and all that. I would have never gotten through there with hard boxes on the side of the bike. They would have been scattered all the way through the Quebec forest. It was so, because the benefit of the soft luggage is also is they have the compression straps like on a good pack sack. So as soon as you have less gear and all that, you can squeeze them and make them much more compact than being with the fixed size of the hard box.
Yep.
And now they have also the rackless type, which maybe I would have gone with the rackless setup instead of the ones I have now. But when at the time I bought them, they were not available. So there are many options now that are out there, and also I think Moscow put out a big revolution in the luggage industry. Like everybody was doing the same thing, same design for years and years and years, and they did a lot of innovation. And now there are a lot of other companies that are updating their designs and kind of copying per se the Moscow style luggage.
Yeah, what's that other brand? There's another brand that's been coming out with. I just saw something recently on one of the websites or somewhere. There's a company that's making almost like a knockoff of a Moscow, which it's kind of sad. But the snag is, there was kind of the same cheap old crappy nylon bags that everyone was selling for years and years. And I think, Jason, when you decided to go on your trip, you actually ended up sewing together your own luggage.
Yeah, so I at the time the best that was out there was in my opinion was the Agadan from I think it's Adventure Spec, is it? I don't know. Anyway, and but they were asking a lot of dineros, and I just couldn't imagine spending that much money on a nylon bag. So I decided to make my own. And that's when I understood why they're so expensive. It took, I actually made 2 sets, one for me, one for Bruno, that's going to join me later on. And it's basically a week's worth of work. But I still have them though.
And the brand we were thinking of is Tusk. Someone, Vlas just chimed in, Tusk. Hey, nice. Still looks pretty solid.
Oh, they're actually, so that's the... what hard luggage versus soft luggage, rack versus rackless. The hard luggage, one of the arguments for it when you're going on trips is that you can lock them. Well, actually, that's not true. At least Touratech style locks, if you have a screwdriver, it takes about a minute and they're gone. And once they're broken into, you can the locks don't work anymore, so you have to use straps. And so they're actually breaking the luggage to get into it. Soft luggage, if they want to get into it, of course they'll get into it, but they won't need to break it. So you still have luggage afterwards. And so that's one thing. The other thing is, I would never take hard luggage off-road ever. On the road, they're fine, but they get bent out of shape way too easily. And when you crash, because they're tied to the frame, they can actually break more stuff. Like when you fall, not just the case itself, but the luggage rack can twist. Versus the soft luggage, right? Like these ones, I crashed multiple times with them, and because they're only like lightly strapped to the bike, they literally a few times flipped out from the bike. But that means that the frame isn't bent. There's no extra stress anywhere, so they're basically indestructible. And so yeah, I would, for any type of off-roading, I would definitely go with the soft luggage. That's the thing. Also, the other thing I like about soft luggage is that it's soft, so it can actually conform to different shapes. While a hard luggage, if you put something that's just an inch too big for it, there's no way it's going to get into it because it's just a rectangle, a hard rectangle box. While the soft luggage, you can just twist it around and usually manage to get into it. So
yeah, and I think Ivan, you showed from your crash when you crashed. That mounting latch broke. You're still able to continue if you have some straps, because you can always strap the box back onto the bike. So, it's
in my case. In my case, I just slid the bag back onto its wedge mount, and it was heavy enough that it just stayed there. I didn't even need to strap it. In the case of the Moscow.
Yep.
But for extra safety, for sure, you could strap it or back on. But and also the fact that the bag came off the bike, it didn't add any potential other damage or bending the rack itself. It just gave a point of failure and ejected itself. I had to waddle around with a broken ankle to go find it in the Jason that was beside the trail, but. But still, at least the damage, it was probably less damage, or at least I avoided twisting the pannier rack on the bike, because if it would have stayed on the bike.
And Jason, somebody asked, Nerb asked, when are you going to unpack your luggage from that trip?
Well, they're the permanent home for all the equipment that I use to go on a long trip. So why unpack it?
Yep. So,
and Jason, when you made your luggage, also there wasn't a vast choice of soft luggage either. I think that was available on the market.
Yeah. The only one was the Magadan, which they're. I really like this setup. The Moscow. The thing that I like is on the outside they have if I remember, there's a plate of hard plastic or something.
Yeah.
Right.
They have what they call the beaver tail. So it's just an extra flap that's doubled up, and that is your sacrificial pad.
And that's replaceable.
You can shove junk in here. You can at least take it off and fix it. Anywhere you travel, you can always find a shoe cobbler or somebody that has a sewing machine and fix these bags. So yeah, it has the flap, which is very useful, I found. Because you just put all your wet rain gear in here, or when I leave campsite, I just put all my garbage in here in a bag, and then it's easy to pull off as soon as I find a bin and check it. And then after that, on the inside is the detachable dry bag. So this whole interior bag can be pulled out, and it's light colored, because so you can actually see the bottom. When dry bags in general, just not only for this, when you buy a dry bag, buy it as a very light color, because looking at to find your pair of socks at the bottom of a black dry bag, you're never going to find them. So light colored dry bags is always better when you're hunting for your camping gear.
Yeah. And I think, wasn't Giant Loop was around back then, but that probably wasn't big enough for what you were doing.
Well, so the Giant Loop, so I wanted to, because I was bringing basically a full motocross gear minus the compression suit. I needed an extra bag that way I could put all of my luggage in, strap it to the bike, and then go for a hike or whatever. And so the giant loop, the ones that I was seeing, they're a donut around or half a horseshoe around your the back of the bike, which prevents you from having an actual duffel bag. So I was carrying these two bags, plus I think it's an 80-liter duffel bag, mostly empty, but once in a while you just throw everything in there, or for like when you're in a warmer climate and you're doing that was my main use actually. It's when you're doing the border crossing, and you're sweating. You can be there for 4 hours, and you don't want to put everything on your bike that's hanging loose. You just come back 4 hours later and there's nothing left. So I would put all my stuff in the duffel bag, and I even had I forget what that is, but it's like backpackers have that. It's a steel mesh that you can put around the bag. So I had that to make sure that nobody actually pack safe. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I had that for the duffel bag. So basically, the duffel bag excluded the giant loop mode or type of luggage for me.
Yeah.
For others, it would work, but otherwise, actually, I'd say for less long trips, more like putzing around, but going for let's say a weekend somewhere, the giant loop would be nice because it's packed so tight to the bike.
Yeah.
But I actually have the giant loops for the 500.
Yeah.
But the small one, the ones that are just on the side, there's nothing on top.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot more choices. I mean, Wolfman, I have a set of their waterproof bags. They're just buried in the shed. I didn't bring them out, which would be nice for like a weekend ride. And basically, it's just a dry bag with the strapping system, so you could mount them, and they're not huge. So I think there's a lot of choices out there. But I'd say overall, as soon as it's any sort of a quality product, the price point is pretty steep. I mean, what is a set of Moscows now?
I think they're like $600 or $700 US and all that. It's like I don't even know if I'd buy a set of Moscows today because I got them being one of the first. I paid close to peanuts for them. They were really cheap because I risked it. I risked putting in $200 for something that didn't exist. But today, they're all expensive pretty much. As soon as you get, like you said, something that's any of good quality and all that, you're paying the price. And Jason mentioned he found out pretty quick why they're that expensive, because when he made his own, it's a lot of work and all that. So it is, and it's a niche product. They don't sell these to the volumes of a luggage company. What's that big brand of suitcases company?
Samsonite.
It's still just for Samsonite. Right. You can't compare them to Samsonite, where they sell thousands of them. They sell, I don't know, a couple thousand a year probably for, and they're just for motorcycles.
Yeah, for sure. And Jason, when you sewed that stuff, was a regular sewing machine, or did you have some sort of like heavy duty?
So my mom is she's sewn pretty much all her life, so she has a good sewing machine. But it also gave up the ghost during these bags. So to the cost of the bags, I have to add a major repair to an expensive sewing machine.
Nice.
That's also why I learned that Kevlar is not that awesome. So the Magadan bags have an inner lining of Kevlar. So I said, I'll do the same thing. And so the Kevlar comes in and says, hey, let's test this, because the idea of it behind it is that if somebody's trying to get into your luggage, they can't even pierce it with a knife. Well, that's false. A sharp knife cuts through Kevlar like butter.
Nice.
But it does make the bike the bag extremely strong, though.
Yeah, I guess. Let me just jump into the chat here. More than $800 when you take some options. Yeah, so that's expensive. $730 US base price. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you start looking at replacing a set of hard bags where a set of BMW or aluminum bags, whatever, you're into the $1,500, $1,500 mark. So it is expensive. So the first set of luggage I had on my old Honda 550 was a heavy-duty trash bag with a bungee net, and that got me through a few trips. And the second heavy-duty trash bag was my rain suit, so it was a very, very frugal times.
That was my first dry bag for the trip my gear in the back of your truck to the Fundy.
Yes,
was a heavy-duty garbage bag.
Trash bags, or the bee's knees. So, folks, I think we are kind of winding down here a bit. So, if you have any last questions or comments, get them in, and we'll try to answer them. I think what we can see is that when it comes to luggage, it's probably not any different than riding gear and a lot of other things. Everybody has their own preference as to what works for them. Not everybody's in a position to make their own luggage. How long did it take to make that luggage, Jason, also?
Well, so I did 2 sets. So basically it's 4 bags. The first bag, I think, took me like 3 days. And the last bag was a day.
That's not bad, really. It's decent.
Really? That's yeah. I would definitely spend the money this time if I were to do it again. But they I don't see them ever dying. They're really, really strong. So
what did you sew them with? What kind of thread?
It's a
nylon.
I think it's nylon. Yeah, but it's just the thread is really thick, and everything is triple stitched.
So, nice.
So you basically took 80-pound
1,000 cordura inside, outside, and in the middle there's the Kevlar.
Yep.
And I also have dry bags that actually insertable dry bags. Those aren't all that great, but the shell itself, yeah.
No wonder your mother's poor sewing machine died.
Oh yeah, there's the corners. These things here, the corners itself, it's actually 5 layers of stuff, and I can hardly bend it.
Yep. Nice.
So yeah, that's poor sewing machine.
Cool. So here's the big question. What is the topic for next week's show? Are we just going to have Mark come on and read a list of every bike he's ever owned? That'll take an hour. I think next week, why don't we, the one thing we've never, or Jason, are you ready to talk about your trip? Or do you want another week?
Maybe something. I mean, if we just do a picture slideshow.
Yeah, little slideshow and chat. So why don't we try to get organized? Next week we'll try to get organized to have Jason talk about his trip. So for those of you who aren't in the loop, Jason, how long was your trip? How long were you gone?
I think it was a little bit over 10 months. It got cut short.
Yep.
By an accident, but.
So
yeah.
I think next week we'll talk about Jason's travels. So Jason, you took a couple of photos, if I remember correctly. A couple of 5 or 6, 5 or 6 photos. So Jason can talk about his trip, and then at least for myself, here in Quebec, the government is starting to open up the economy, people moving around as of May 11th. The island of Montreal itself, because we're a little bit of a hot spot in terms of disease, is May 19th. Things are starting to open up. I know personally for my company, they've have no intention of bringing us all back until at least June, maybe later. So we still will be here, stuck at home. So we'll continue to do one of these every week for the foreseeable future. So hopefully...
Hey, Riley.
Yep.
That little challenge we have, if you want to open it up to put more pressure on us to actually do it.
Yep. Jason threw down the gauntlet a couple of days ago to see how long all of us could just balance our motorcycle, how long we could just stationary balance the motorcycle. So Jason, I think, what did you say your best score was? 45 seconds?
The first day was about 3 seconds.
Yep.
And yesterday I got it to 2 minutes.
So 2 minutes?
I quit.
No, wait. That was not on asphalt, right? It's on grass. So on grass, it's a lot easier.
Still.
So I was thinking actually of amending the rules a little bit.
Okay.
As some of you whiners were complaining that different bikes, different difficulty levels.
Yep.
So for large bikes, you can do it in like sand or earth. For mid-sized bikes, you can do it on grass, and for like 500 and less, you have to do it on pavement.
Nice.
And at 125, it has to be like on overinflated tires.
On a hockey rink. So I tried it yesterday on the kids' little 110cc Honda, and that I think I was able to keep the bike upright for 3 seconds. So then I thought it must be because this bike is so small, it's tricky. So I went and got the 701, drove it into the backyard, 3 seconds as well. So apparently it's just something wrong with my inner ear. So if anybody out there wants to jump in on this, get someone to videotape you, because we know our viewers are all consummate liars. So get someone to videotape you balancing on your bike and send it in, and maybe we'll do another contest where we'll find another rusty sprocket and a burned out tire and send it out to the lucky winner of this contest. So, and you know, one of the things we haven't talked about, and this is Rick mentioned, is tires too. So I think maybe on a future episodes we can certainly talk about tires, and I guess one of the things we've never talked about, what, Jason?
Oil.
Oil, yes. Oil. We'll have an in-depth oil thread. And I think we'll also have one perhaps where we'll talk about bikes, because that's the one topic we've never really delved into is bikes. And maybe, I think we'll have an episode where we'll maybe talk about the bikes we've owned, the progression through the different bikes, which isn't necessarily saying from bad to good, but a lot of it I think is just changing the nature of the riding we're doing. So I guess, yes, I was going to send you one of me on the Ural balancing just as a gag, but I never got around to it. With a time lapse of the sun setting. So, okay, folks, I'm going to cue up the logo for the big finish. And I will say once again, thanks for joining us. If you want one of our 10th anniversary stickers, anybody who wants one of our 10th anniversary stickers, if you want to order patches and stickers, I'm throwing in some of the 10th anniversary stickers into every package that we're sending out. And if you've ordered stickers recently and you feel that you got hosed because you didn't get one of the 10th anniversary stickers, send me an email at info@apormc.com and we'll get that sorted out. So once again, everybody, thanks for watching. Head over to Facebook. Do not watch our show on Facebook, but head over to Facebook if you want to send us a picture or chat with us. And you can always hear...
JP was watching on Facebook.
Who?
JP was watching on Facebook.
JP, come on. So feel free to leave us a comment down below. I don't know if you realize it, but if you watch this show after it's over, it'll play as a regular YouTube video, and the chat will play in sync. The live chat will play in sync with the video. So if you missed part of it and you want to see the live chat, you can restream that. So head over to Facebook, and if you want to buy anything, awesomeplayers.com. We appreciate that. Hit the alarm bell, which makes you get a notification, because subscribing's not enough. You got to hit subscribe, and you've also got to hit the alarm bell so that you actually get notified when a new video comes out. And we will be back next Sunday. And if I can cue the media, boys, say goodbye.
Take care, guys.
Ciao.
Be safe.